Hey everyone, CDD Music Reviews here. I am CDD, and this is going to be a music review of the new Santigold album, 99 Cent. Santigold is the alias of singer and producer Miss Santi White. I can't say I hopped on to the bandwagon when she dropped her first two solo albums, which was an unprecedented move for producers back in the day, like to ditch making millions of dollars just to embark on a solo career. It's ballsy, it really is. I can't say that she's intrigued me with her pop music, with that a fusion of reggae fusion, dancehall, world music, noise pop, indie pop, and all that, because MIA is essentially doing the same thing. But still, I decided to give her a chance, since this is her first new record in a while, about 4 years, I believe. And I thought I'd just give my thoughts on it. While this album's got its merits, I get what it's going for. I can't say I'm that into it, really. I'm actually pretty indifferent to it. This album is about 12 tracks in length, spanning to about 45 minutes or so. And I can't say that these ideas that Santigold coming out with are her own. It kind of sounds like that she's listened to a series of other things, and certainly making them fresh sounding, but it just sounds fresh. The compositions themselves aren't that flattering for what it is. Like on the song Walking in a Circle, this just sounds like an FKA Twigs song. Especially the way these really down-pitched and kind of distorted vocals come in. We're in a circle. It sounds like it came off of her most recent EP, Melissa. And I just don't think it's that flattering for her to obviously yank off this idea that pretty much we all know at this point. And then there's this track, Outside the War, which has this really obnoxious guitar. I guess it adds tension, but it just seems so out of place. I mean, I don't see the point of existing for the kind of song it's trying to go for, really. The worst track in this album is the Who Be Lovin' Me. I Love McConan is not a good singer. He is not a good rapper. I don't want to hear an I Love McConan feature. I don't want to hear I Love McConan at all. And then when Santigold comes in with her verse and her part, it's just too little, too late. There's no point in me bothering to listen to her. That's another thing I don't really like about this album. Her vocals. The rapping sounds like MIA. The singing sounds more off in the distance and not as upfront. She's a good singer and all, but I just don't really cater to her voice all that much. Like on the song Who I Thought You Were, which has this really obnoxious new wave vibe that I don't really care that much for. Just her voice, it just doesn't sound distinct or at all interesting over her own work, and that's really disappointing. Chasing Shadows has one of the better vocal melodies, but it's not really intriguing me, especially with how stripped back and skeletal this instrumental is. These aren't bad songs, they're just not well thought out. That's my key. It's like she had in mind to just try to emulate these ideas, and it just doesn't sound like her anything definitive, and that really disappoints me about this album. There's tracks that could have came off of MIA's Kala. Like I said, there's tracks that could have came off of FKA Twigs' previous two releases. There's tracks that would have came out of the 80s or the new wave era, and I just really don't get it. But I guess there's some cuts that I like, though. I mean, maybe not like a lot, but just in comparison to others. Like the opening track, I Can't Get Enough of Myself, which has a really interesting jab at narcissism. But it's really catchy. There's these really upbeat whistling and this upbeat beat pattern. Hey, shout out. I like the upbeat vibe. It's just that it's just not a song that I absolutely love or anything like that, or even want to just keep listening to very often. But then there's the song Banshee, which at first I really hated because of how MIA-ish it sounds. It grew on me a little, even though it still has this relatively stale EDM drop that shouldn't have existed whatsoever. I guess Rendezvous Girl takes the 80s vibe it tries to go for and just really try to make it its own in a way. It achieves that to a certain degree. I don't know, I was just really disappointed with this album. It's dumb that Santigold was to come back after so long and just give us this. It's a fresh album. I can see plenty of people liking it, but as someone that's already listened to these ideas and listened to the ideas done better, and it sound like these ideas came from these artists, I don't see any point in returning to it or even liking it. It kind of sounds like that Santigold just took all these ideas, flung them to the wall, and just tried to work with the ones that stick, and tried so desperately to keep the ones that don't really stick all that well, which is a lot of them, stuck on the wall because that's what she wanted. Yeah, I just didn't like this album. I mean, it's okay-ish. Objectively speaking, I can see it appealing in a pop sense, but I'd rather be listening to MIA. I'd rather be listening to FKA Twigs. This album is a -0.6 out of +3. Pretty indifferent towards it, but it's got its merits. There's no horrible song on there. There's no just outright a bad song on here, except for the I Love McConan track, but again, there's not much to say in terms of highlights about this album. For me, anyway. But if you give this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love this album? Did you hate this album? Was it your reasoning behind that? What should I consider reviewing next? This is CW with the reviews here. Sign off.